Hello world, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here because I know you could have been anywhere else in the world right now, but you've chosen to sit here and listen to what I have to say, and for that I thank you a million times over. I hope you learned something. I hope you question something. I hope you just let's get conversations going. I love having conversations like what I'm about to talk about because it's I love just soulful experiences, and I feel like conversations about real things in itself is a very soulful experience for me, rather a soul enriching experience for me. So as much as I love sharing this and hearing from you guys, it's also a bit selfish of me because I just love expressing more soulful thoughts that I have, and all of that. um so I'll just get right into it. Today we're talking about when things don't go as planned. And I want to talk about it because that has been a huge part of my reality for the past 3 years. 3 years and a month, I discovered today. Um and to give you context, before I get into what I want to say, I'll just quickly run through my story and why I say my life has completely gone off track. Basically, I'm one of the few lucky people who the schooling system was built for. And I say that because I think as young people, we're very aware that the schooling system is very problematic given how diverse in nature the human race is. You can't possibly equate something like success to getting good marks. Teaching a fish how to climb a tree doesn't make sense, right? But I was lucky in that I was very comfortable in the schooling system. I achieved things. I gained confidence in myself. I really grew into myself. Um, so by the time I got to matric, I felt so ready for the world. I felt like I'm gonna achieve this. I'm gonna do this. This is how I'm gonna get there. One, two, three. Don't skip step four. I'm literally like, it would be a thing of I knew what I wanted and I knew how I was gonna get there. Then life said, "Oh, you have plans." She has plans. That's so cute. That is so cute. And life said, "My sister, mm, no, no, that's not what you need right now. That's not what you need right now." And, I'm literally realizing in this very moment that life was telling me before it started forcing me. Life had been telling me that I needed to address something a lot more internal than what I had planned. But because I was a person who cared so much about how society perceived me, I pushed it aside. And I was like, you know what? That's something internal. People don't see what's going on internally, so then it doesn't matter. It's not the top of the priority list. Let's focus on what people can see. Let's focus on achieving this. Let's focus on, go, 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 right? Then life said, oh, you don't want to listen. And it forced me away from the path that I was so fixated on. And, I've had times even recently where that really upset me. Because I've had times where I've been like, man, like it's very easy for society to get to you. I think I'm a person who I've come to learn is a bit insecure. And because of that, sometimes I want to say crave society's approval, right? So even though I do genuinely believe that I'm the best version of myself I've ever been, sometimes I remember what society perceives as successful, and I'm like, man, I could have been there. I could have achieved that. And then I'll get upset at life. I'll get upset at the people who contributed to the events that contributed to this derailing. And then I'll get upset. Like, I'll be like, God, why? Like, I could have been more successful than this. I could have. And firstly, so not useful. Focusing on the past, being so fixated on what you had planned, so not useful. I've come to realize that, firstly, comparing yourself to who you were in the past after life has happened to you can be very toxic, because the reality is, yes, sometimes it's good for your own personal growth, but sometimes it can be just as bad as comparing yourself to others, because the truth is, the person you were in the past had a completely different reality, right? They had different challenges, they had different values, they were a completely different person. They were facing different challenges. I think that's the thing that applies to me the most. Facing completely different challenges. So how is it that you are holding them to the exact same set of, requirements in order to consider them one of the people who are trying their best? Trying your best is about, okay, this is my reality right now, and I'm doing my best right now. A week ago, that might have looked like getting 94% on your test. But today, doing your best might look like eating 2 meals in a day. And that's still doing your best, right? But anyways, I'm going off course. When things don't go as planned, I would highly recommend embracing it, because I think I've wasted a lot of time and a lot of opportunities to grow. I've missed a lot of those because I was so fixated on the fact that I'm going off course. And the more I'm not trying to get back on course, the more, like, it just felt like my life was just spiraling into a huge mess. But in hindsight, I realized that life, doing everything life does, it really, really taught me everything. It taught me exactly what I needed to learn for this stage of life that I'm in. And I never would have even given these issues the time of day if life hadn't forced me to. I feel like I'm really, really forming a really healthy foundation, to the point where only now, 3 years later, I can say, okay, let's get back into it. Okay, life is, loosening the reins a little bit. Let's get back into it. Okay, let's take what we've learned. What's the next step forward now? Now we can start planning again. Let's go. But ultimately, the moments when I wasn't embracing the journey, I was missing the opportunities for growth. And when I did start embracing the fact that things weren't going as planned, and rather focusing on I kind of perceived things not going as planned as life saying, sit down, I have something to tell you. And I have grown so much from that. I've learned so much from just sitting down, observing what my circumstances were saying to me, taking it in, introspecting, and growing. That's really it. When things don't go as planned, don't be too fixated on the fact that it did not go as planned, because then you're missing life. You're missing some of the most beautiful things life has to show you, to teach you, to, literally the most beautiful things that I've experienced in my whole life, the most beautiful changes I've experienced in my whole life occurred when I embraced life taking the wheel. Yes, it's important to take the wheel back, but sometimes because we're human and because, we don't always know what's best for ourselves. I'm a religious person, so I believe that everything life does is connected with God, and just God's plan for us. And so when life is forcing my plans away, I've really found value in saying, okay, why? What's going on? What am I not addressing? What do I need to hear? And I promise you, I don't think anyone can be worse off from doing that. I don't think anyone can be worse off from embracing things not going as planned. I don't think it's possible. I think it's possible to have being fixated on things going your way work towards your own detriments, for sure, as from my own experience. So please, 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 embrace the journey, embrace the change, embrace the lack of control sometimes, and just always do your best. Always try and be aware of what life might be teaching you, and just grow into yourself, grow into a better version of yourself, both for yourself. And you'll find that once you're a good version for yourself, you can be a good version for other people. Linking back to the cup, right? I used to pour out of an empty cup. Sometimes I'd pour out of a cup that's half full to eighths full, but ultimately it wasn't full. And to me now, that's a problem, because now how I function is my cup needs to be so full that it's running over. And that is why I can be such a good friend, such a good sister, such a good daughter, such a good, I literally think if you're the best version of yourself for yourself, automatically you will just become a better person for the world. So I would highly recommend just listening to God, listening to life, listening to the universe, listening to your body, your soul, your heart, and actually being brave enough to step aside from having control, step aside from looking impressive, step aside from finishing this in record time, and do what you need to do. For some people, because we're all different, some people don't need that, they can go straight into it, finish in record time, and still be the best versions of themselves. That's amazing. But there are other people like myself who need a different kind of foundation. And it's only then that they can be the best versions of themselves. And ultimately, that's what we're trying to be all the time. So just don't neglect life's messages to you, life's way of helping you to heal, helping you to grow, helping you to ultimately fulfill what you came onto this earth to fulfill. But I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to say. I think that's pretty much it. I hope what I said made sense. But that's pretty much what was on my heart. And if you have questions, if you are questioning something that I said, I love having conversations like this. I find them very, very soul enriching, which I love. So if you have questions, if you have an opposite view, if whatever it may be, I'd love for you to just reach out and let's talk. But until then,